video we measured the spindle taper and found what size of gauge blocks we will need to set the lathe compound. Have a look at that video if you'd like to see the math involved. The way I want to set up the compound for cutting my angle is to have this piece of ground stock in the 4-jaw chuck and to set a sine bar against it with gauge blocks on one side. The problem I'm having though is that this sine bar is about 5/8 of an inch and it won't fit into an AXA tool holder. It will fit into a BXA, and I've got a whole, BXA collection that I've been meaning to get around to getting ready for this lathe, and I think this project here would be a good excuse to get that project knocked out. This is a Logan 10-inch. It's model 1816, and the slot in the compound is 1 inch, 434. The T section of the compound T slot is like nominally 5/16. This is 312 right here. If I drop this thing down thoroughly, 3 inches can be right in the center of this still. I'm sorry to put you through another T-slot nut making video, so I'll make it snappy. And since it's a horizontal mill now, we can gang mill it. The other end of this. Yeah, that's okay. All right. This just in, there's a new surface plate in the shop. This is a 2 foot by 3 foot, 4 inch thick black granite surface plate, and it's in the way right now because I've got to move some stuff around to make room for this thing. This was certified in 2019 to be AA laboratory grade. By now, who knows, but that's a lot better than, 1984 being certified, or at least it's in this century, not this decade exactly, but yeah, this thing is still really dusty. I can feel it. I can feel it as I'm wiping my hand across it. And there's plenty of dings that I feel, in this area especially. In any case, this is going to serve me well, I'm sure. My needs are very well met by a plate this size, and I'm sure it's gonna do just fine for what I'm gonna find myself engaged with. This is the plate I've been using up until now, and it's not even 12 by 18. This is like 12 by 10 inches, and it did me well, I gotta say. I did some good work with it, but it is rather small and pretty hard to put a 12-inch level on this and still have the whole level on the plate. Now that the new tool post is straightened out and I have a tool holder that can hold my sine bar, we can get back to what I was doing a moment ago, a couple days ago actually. Now what I want to do is I want to square the tool post to this parallel, and so I've got just another parallel and another tool holder. I went over to the plate and made sure this is square to the tool holder, and I'm going to hold this square up to here and just square the tool post like that, and this would be a perfect time to use these dowel pins that I've never seen anybody use. I've never used them myself, because as I go you know, if I didn't have these in there, as I go about tightening the tool post down, it's going to want to spin clockwise. Swing the compound around until I get a black outfit with this beveled edge square, with this parallel being squared to the parallel in the chuck. I think it's safe to say now that this side of the tool post will be parallel to the parallel as well. Now we're more in the area where we'll actually be doing the work, and let's see if this parallel is flat enough that the gauge blocks will ring to it. Yeah, they will. That's good. That way I'll not have to touch it so much. And we'll just finally crank this thing into position. Now with everything is, you know what I think it is? The compound should be set up for me to do my 3 inches per foot taper. I've got the stock as centered in the forge jaw as it's going to get, I think. So let's finally start making some chips. And I'm through using this for all of the 2 times that I did. Now I've got a proper machine wrench for this. Anyway, let's cut this off. That should be plenty. The top of it's already turning straw and blue, so that should just drop down just like that. Now we're ready to do the finish machining on this cone-shaped part that will hold onto the hub. And the whole idea behind this is that since this part is no longer on the same piece of metal that originally it was a part of, and now it's instead on this mandrel, the plane is changed a little bit and it's no longer in that same plane, and so finish machining it a little bit will bring it into the same plane as the mandrel. This is the cone-shaped section that you saw me make, and this cone here, it checked out with some layout die on these wheels, but it wouldn't stay inside of one of these hubs. And so I thought that maybe my angle was wrong or something like that. Maybe I had gone too far when finishing it. So I made another Arbor, and this one behaves the same way with those hubs. But with this hub, it stays in just fine. Anyway, we've got our homemade balancing stand. I found a level part of the plate here. I'll let that just rock around. It'll find the heavy spot, and whatever is at 12 o'clock when it does that will be the light spot, and at 6 o'clock of that will be the heavy spot. I'll bring you back when we're quite a ways towards being finished, because I know that this is a tedious process, and plenty of other people have done it much better than I'm about to do it anyway. I've got a dull drill bit in the drill press here, and we're going to make a little dimple opposite this line that we determined was the light spot and this to be the heavy spot. exactly that same spot is still the heavy spot, so we'll take a little bit more off of that exact one. It's about an hour later, and we've gone from how it was before to just about this. I can put what was the heavy section at about 90 degrees, and it will kind of just float around. The wheel will behave that way just about wherever I put it. I would say this wheel is ready to be used and is in decent balance. I present to you a wet grinding attachment for the otherwise dry only Reid 2B surface grinder. Here's a splash guard, and this can come out if I need it to. The pan here was a piece of steel shelving originally, like this here, and I had to weld the corners together and also, cut part of it off and bend that up and weld that shut. I also had to use a different handle. The original handle from here is just too long, and with this pan in here, there's no way it could swing up to engage the mag chuck. So what I did was I took this little brass hammer and drilled and reamed for a taper pin at the end of it here. And it's kind of tough to engage without all this leverage that I'm losing, but I can handle it for when I'm, doing the wet grinding here. Disengaging it, of course, is easy. I added a junction box up here with an outlet here and a switch. This is the fountain pump that's driving the coolant system. I flip the switch up and the coolant starts flowing. I also might build in a dust collection system that I could power from this other outlet when I'm not running coolant. The toughest part of this whole build was getting the drain right. This hole right here is the drain, and at the end of this is a brass fitting with a barbed end for the plastic hose. The tough part was, just getting it not to leak. And the way I attached the elbow here was it's soldered on. I made a hole here and soldered it right in place. This was my first attempt, and it was too large of a hole, so I plugged it up. This is the coolant I've been using, and this is probably the first and last time I buy this antifreeze looking stuff. It peels the paint right off of painted surfaces, and that's just no good. No paint means it'll start rusting. So all this just to dress the mag chuck? Well, yeah, we want good results, not just results. And dressing the mag chuck is grinding the largest part that you're likely to attempt on the surface grinder. If we grind it dry, we're going to run into more problems with heat buildup than if we grind it wet. We want the mag chuck to be good and flat, and who knows when the last time it was ground. We also don't want wheel hop to be a problem, so we took the time to balance the wheels. You want to control the things that you can control, because there are some elements that are out of your control. The V-way on the table has a lot of wear, and without scraping the V-way back to being flat and square, then it's just something we've got to deal with. In any case, that's all the time I've got for this video. We'll be grinding something in the next one for sure. I'll catch you later.